Our next couple of speakers actually are a couple of speakers. They are Mr. and Mrs. Paul, whose relationship, I think, and life is driven by design. Sandip, who actually does a lot of design development, finds a lot of our requirements in society and provides a design solution for it. And his wife, Suhasini, of course, works with toys because as a child, and since she was a child, liked making her own toys, and now she makes a range of different kinds of toys for different kids. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and join me in welcoming on stage Mr. and Mrs. Paul, Sandip and Suhasini.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me here. Well, as a child, not only was I a tinkerer of objects, but I took keen interest in observing people and the surroundings. And probably that is one of the reasons why I had a knack for cartooning. One fine afternoon, on my way back from school, I decided to meet the editor at the Statesman, Kolkata, back in 1994. I wanted to actually take up cartooning as a profession. So what I did in the next few weeks was that I was writing short stories and anecdotes about very silly things which I observed around me, like losing your pen. What do you do to save from not losing your pen? Or things, what do you do with your rough book at the last page? What do you do? What notes do you make? Things like those. So this thing kind of ran for the next 4 years until I moved to Nagpur to pursue my electrical engineering. However, it wasn't my choice. I was forced into engineering, hence I was looking for a point of vent out my expressions, in terms of observations, and I wanted to really take it further as a career. So what do? I took up a job as a sub-editor with the English Daily. This was during my final year of engineering. I started my own pocket column called Not As You See. The basic agenda was to bring to light those everyday moments which we tend to leave unnoticed. Because those are the things which actually can give a lot of insights about what's happening around us. The best thing of this job was that it was a night job. So in the morning, I was doing my engineering, and at night, I was working. So it was 8 p.m. to 3:30 in the morning, a.m., while I was doing this thing. On my way back, I observed, mostly every day, a very interesting phenomena. The newspaper boys, because during the last wee hours, it was the time for the delivery guys to pack up their bags and start rolling out. They would roll up the paper, and what they used to do was throw the rolls up to different heights in the apartments. For example, if it is a first floor or a second floor or a third floor. And that's the way they used to do it every day. I realized such a humongous task, it's such a difficult task. I was struck with an idea. Can I do a newspaper launcher or a dispenser? A very silly thought, but I felt this is when I realized that before this, what I was doing, I was observing people commenting. That's what a cartoonist does on a daily pocket column. You criticize what's happening around you. So can I be a person from criticizing the society to someone who can actually deliver solutions from those observations? And that's when I realized that probably product design is one field which would give me that direction to work on. Fortunately, this won me my first design award, a very big impetus for me to actually move into this profession. So I went to NID in Ahmedabad to finish off my post-graduation in product design. While I was doing so, I used to travel back and forth. I used to live in Calcutta, my hometown, and study in Ahmedabad. So most of the travels were by trains. And very interesting observations which I made, but the most touching was the toilet. A very unpleasant sight. Well, this is a very clean toilet otherwise. So, as Indians, we all agree, and we all know, that we use water to wash after defecation. So we have the water here. But how do we hold it? We don't have a container. We don't have the mug. So what we used to do is use plastic cups or cut the bottles and use it, and hence create a lot of litter in and around the space, along the tracks as well. Can we do something about it? Of course. Here's a disposable toilet mug made out of paper, which can disintegrate within a few hours after you've used it and thrown it by the track also, because it's made of paper and glued. It was folded neatly, so it could actually get very easily into your pocket. Also, it wouldn't take much of your luggage space. Moving from this, I realized, how do I actually get to make this? I figured out the rag pickers would be the idle guys who would actually make this product and make it available along the tracks. Because Indian railway tracks are laid across the country, crisscrossing thousands of kilometers. And it'll be a logistic problem to actually provide made-up mugs in all the stations. So how about training them into folding those pieces of paper into toilet mugs? This I did in collaboration with NID and the Indian Railways for a very short span, and we created the disposable toilet mug for the Indian Railways, which won me the Design Business Excellence Award, as well as it's a part of the permanent collection at the Design Museum in Denmark. From here on, I move on to Pune, because I was doing a project with Whirlpool. One of our daily visits which we used to make was home visits to understand what are the needs or how people are living in their environments. And what I noticed significantly was that people were using these plastic crates to store up the onions and potatoes in their kitchen. So this was actually consuming a part of their kitchen space. Alongside, there was another observation, that the refrigerators which was there in your living space or your kitchen space was not utilizing the vertical space above it. So once you place a refrigerator, that space is completely blocked. So can we do something about it? We made a small tray, and we called it the utility tray. And this was meant for storing the onions and potatoes for dry storage beneath the refrigerator. A little bit of height to the refrigerator won't do much harm. It will actually help you utilize that space. You're also freed up with the space of the other containers which we're using to hold the onions and potatoes. And this was launched by Whirlpool. And more so, this became a standard when the rest of the brands started following it. And now it is available across the country by most of the brands. So very simple thought and observation. Well, all this while, what I was doing was converting my observations of people and surroundings into product ideas. Then I realized, what harm has those little small products lying around us done to me? I should also notice them. They are part of our everyday objects, and they serve us so brilliantly. So can we also work on small improvisations onto these products? So this is a regular multi-plug and a 2-pin plug. So what's the problem with it? At the first sight of it, there is none. But when you actually tend to use it, you will realize the 2-pin plug gets loose after a while. And since this is a complete cuboid, the plug tends to fall off due to gravity. A small change in the angle, a slant, an angle of 40 degrees helped me stop the plug from falling down. So it kind of held it due to its own weight. The final product. It's called the Angular Multiplug, and it's been selling really well for the last 10 years. Another attempt was a very simple product, which was the cloth line clip. We all use it every day. And we also have seen what are the basic 2 problems with this cloth line clip. One, it tends to break off because the plastic gets brittle out in the sun. But it's not because of the plastic which is getting brittle. It's the spring, the metal spring, which is always in tension, which tends to break off. And what does the metal spring do? It also leaves rust marks on your clothes. So there are two problems which I identified. So how do we resolve this? I removed the spring out of it, and I made a design in such a way that the entire functionality could be achieved by a single piece of plastic. So in this product, it has got dual jaws. If you see, there are two ends to it. Even if one end breaks, the other end lives. So the idea was to increase the longevity of a product. And at the same time, what I was doing here was made the production very easy, because there are only one component here. Recycling was very easy, because there was no two elements which had to be segregated. It could be straight away dumped for recycling. So these are small thoughts which I felt that could actually improve the way manufacturers start thinking. That can we actually rethink the way we do our everyday objects, and this can actually impact our lives. Another interesting space which I feel is the interaction of furniture with people, because that's also a very interesting interaction which people have with objects, where exactly you're actually sitting on them and you have to feel comfortable. However, and it was very fortunate of me to get this opportunity to work for British Council. They wanted me to design a furniture for the library space. The brief was very interesting. They didn't want people to be very comfortable for a long time. They wanted people to be relaxed, of course, because they were youngsters who would mostly be visiting them. At the same time, people wanted to use it in any direction they wanted. So it has to be a very fun and functional kind of product. So this product actually, you can sit in this fashion. You could sit cross-legged. It's very light. It has an inbuilt handle. So it's very lightweight. You can carry it around the space. It's very sturdy. You can stand up on it to reach a certain height if you wish to. And there we produced a limited number as per the requirement for the library space and the reception area. And we find people very comfortable using them for a short span, because there was no backrest. You couldn't sit there for a long time. Finally, another example of a brilliant observation, a very simple observation. Most of the Indian homes, you'll find LCD TVs mounted on the wall. LG wanted to design something for the Indian masses, where they wanted to enter into the mass market for LEDs and LCDs, and to be really India-specific. Now, how do we design something, some Indianness to a product, which is a very global product, a television? So you have to think away from the product itself, and you have to go back to the place where people are using it. So again, we did a pan-India research, and we observed that the LCD TVs are wall-mounted, so what happens to the stand? The stand was given along with it. The consumers are not using it. The company had invested in the tooling of that stand, which is going complete for a waste. And what people have done is people have improvised and used some, if you can see the glass tops, or some have used some wooden planks. So this was not an idea which we had to think in isolation. This was an idea which was lying there. It was done by people. This is what is Jugaad, what people were doing. We just had to convert them into a tangible product. So the idea was, can we convert the stand into a shelf? It took 6 months to do the engineering, because we didn't want to increase the cost of the product. It had to be really, really very simple. Last year, it was launched by LG. Statingly, it was designed for India, and it's called the Transform TV. So here I'll leave you with a thought that always notice the smaller things around you, because those are the things which actually help you find solutions. You don't have to sit in isolation to ideate. Your solutions are all around you. You just have to be more observant towards them. Thank you.